Hi there, this is Phil, video 9 of the Anna Wilson Children's Home run by the Salvation Army between 1976 and 1981. Getting the truth, sharing the truth, getting justice, being connected with the kids who lived at the Anna Wilson Home, and getting closure. Now, what I'm going to be talking about throughout this video is basically what happened at the Anna Wilson Home. Now, I know with a lot of my previous videos as well, roughly the dates and the times, you know, they're not exact, but they're within a month to 2 months of each other. So some of the times I say within the video are a rough indication, because of course I'm not looking at all the information when the videos are being put forward about the exact time when I got in contact with certain people at certain times and everything else. But it's just a rough idea of the times and the scheduling of when I was in contact with certain people throughout doing these 8 videos up until now. The 9th one, which is the one today, is basically the one talking about the abuse. And basically, this is not the finale, but it's up to date to this very precise moment now. And if there is ever any information which comes forward at a later date, then of course I'll add that on after video 9. Now, remember, while I'm talking about this video, and while I'm doing this video, you got to remember that this is coming from a 3 or 4 year old child, which I was when I first moved to the Anna Wilson Home. There was a forms of control, there was psychological abuse, there was child neglect, there was physical abuse, mental torture. But as far as I can remember to myself, I didn't actually get any form of sexual abuse inflicted on me in any way. But that's only as far as I can remember. Now, I'm going to run through all the things which happened. Now, there was a garage which was in the back garden, and we were told as kids that this place had a monster living in it. Now, I know some of you will probably laugh about anything, oh, I'm a monster, you know. But at the end of the day, I was a 3 or 4 year old kid, and we were freaked out by this. And we were so scared of it, we used to literally peep into the window and see if we could see anything. Because we were so small, we couldn't quite see into the garage window. We're trying to see in there. And I'm not even sure if we did get in to look in the window, because I'm not sure if it was visible from the outside, but we couldn't even look through the cracks in the doors or anything like that. But we were trying to look in there, or trying to sort of see if there was anything moving. But to this day, I cannot remember, because it was such a long time ago. But we were told that there was a monster living in the garage, and that was a form of psychological control to stop us going in the garage. Now, the next thing is, you're probably thinking this is a bit sort of like a strange one, or funny, you know, it's nothing big and everything else. But you know what, it was a mental torture, and it was done on a regular basis. The other one was the boogeyman. The boogeyman would basically roam around the garden to stop us from running away. Now, God, you know what? On many occasions we thought about running away. I even did run away once. I got halfway down the back alleyway. I was so scared. I ran back into the house, unloaded my satchel, and put everything in my bedroom without anybody realising I'd even gone. But that was how I'm scared, because I thought, I'm scared of living at the home, but I've got nowhere else to go either. So I was scared of that as well. So anyway, next thing is there was a figurine which was used. Now, I can't use the word, and in my previous video I tried to record it and I said the word, and I wish I hadn't, so I had to redo this video. But there was a figure which was on the Robinson marmalade jams, which basically was a figure, and this figure was a soft toy. It would be dangled at the top of the stairs, and it would levitate at the top of the stairs and go from one side of the hallway to the other side of the hallway, at the top of the landing. And we would be at the bottom of the stairs, and we would be like, geez, you know, we were so freaked out by it. And so we were like little kids, remember, we're 3 or 4 years old, and this thing is levitating. And it was a form of control of stopping the kids going upstairs. Now, a lot of you will probably think, oh, that's nothing either. But, you know, it's still a form of psychological control and psychological abuse. Now, the next thing is it would come down, and I'm getting my next shipping up now. I'm thinking about this next one. Now, the lady who was the abuser was Major Brenda Fleming. And basically, she would say that I am a word which I can't use. But it's basically a human version of this soft toy. But what she would do, she would put these scary joke eyes behind her glasses and say, I am, but I can't use the words because it's a racist word. And said, I will come and eat you. I'm going to come and eat you. And she would come into our bedrooms, literally put our heads down into the pillow so that we're almost suffocating. And then if we made a noise, or we were out of our bed, or we were fidgeting, she would come in, pull our pants down, do a horse bite, twist our bums, and then pinch, and then pull away. And she would do this, or she would also slap our heads, or slap our bums as well. Now, she would do this to basically try and make us not make a noise when we went to bed. And we were freaked out by this because I was so scared of this figure. And this figure was the altered ego of the lady who used to run the home. She's the manager. She's the lady who's in charge, and she's the one tormenting us. But she would only do it after dark, come the evening time. And even the noise of her saying, I am, word, which I can't use, I'm going to come and eat you, would like literally freak us out. Now, we were so scared about getting out of our bed to go to the toilet that on many occasions I did wet the bed. I pooed in my bed. I would then get punished in the morning for wetting my bed, for pooing my bed, because I would literally be so scared about getting out of my bed. For one thing, getting to the end of the doorway, which walked along the corridor to the toilet at the end of the corridor, because I was too afraid of bumping into this figurine, which was her altered ego. And she would have these joke glass eyes things behind her eyes, behind her glasses, and we were just tormented and tortured by the mental torture of bedtime, because bedtime was the time when this altered ego of Major Brenda Fleming would come out. And after looking at photographs of her at a later date, even back in year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I started looking at the photographs, I started looking at close photographs of Major Brenda Fleming. There was loads of varicose veins on her cheeks and on her face. I put varicose veins on her cheeks and on her face by somebody who's a bit of a heavy drinker. And I started looking up alcoholics on the internet and started showing pictures of alcoholics on the internet. To this day, I can't prove it because the lady's dead, but to this day I think she was an alcoholic, and she would hit the bottle come the evening time, and this would be when the altered ego would come out. Now, this would be going on for, not every night, but pretty much if I wasn't hit by this Major Brenda Fleming's altered egos, one of the other kids was hit by her, by either being out of their beds or making a noise or just doing something which basically she had an excuse to basically come in and shove our heads into the pillow, make us feel like we were suffocating, and also make us feel like that, we're going to get our pants pulled down, pinch, pull, and then slap our ass. Now, on top of this, we were also given the slipper, and this would be even downstairs in front of the other kids. Our pants would be pulled down and our bums would be spanked with the slipper, the belt, and even the buckle end. Now, the buckle end I got on several occasions, I can remember, and I can remember it being so bad that when I went to was it primary or was it infant school? It might have been primary, it might have been even infant school. It might have been primary school actually, but I can't say for definite if it was infant or primary school. But literally, I've got a feeling it was infant school. I couldn't sit down because my bum would sting from, where I'd been belted. the buckle over my bum or the belt over my bum. Now this was another situation which happened on regular occasions, not just to me, on to other kids as well. But the things which happened to me I could remember the most, because I can't remember everyone else's situations because it happened to them, and I can only really remember strongly more the things which happened to me rather than the other kids. Now the other thing which happened to me once, it was one of the bad times. If any of you ever realise I've got a broken nose, well, to this day I can't prove it, but I've got a feeling it was done when I was at the Anna Wilson home. There was one morning the Major came into the lounge and she said, like, for us not to make a mess in the lounge. I turned around and I said, with her looking at me while she's saying that, I turned around and I said, but I haven't made the mess and I don't make the mess. I'm not sure if any of you realise, but I've got OCD, and some of you who've had close contact with me and close friendships with me, you realise that, you know, I've got a few obsessive things which I do in my house. And I've got OCD. And I used to clean up and tidy up after the other kids so that the other kids wouldn't get in trouble. And I used to tidy up after them. And the reason why the Major was looking at me was because she knew I was the one who was tidying up after the other kids, so the other kids wouldn't get a beating. So she started beating me because she knew I was the one tidying up after all the other kids so that they wouldn't get in trouble. But then I got in trouble because I was tidying up after them, and it wasn't like there wasn't an excuse for her to hit anyone. So I was the one being hit. This one time, she said, if you dare answer me back, you'll be so quick up those stairs, you won't be able to say Jack Robinson. Well, on this one particular time, I was so angry with her and so annoyed with her because she'd been deliberately pointing and bullying me to the point where I just turned around and I shouted out, Jack Robinson. Well, you know what? I wish I'd never done that, because that was one of the worst beatings I've ever had. She basically grabbed hold of my arm, about my elbow, and she pulled me and she held me up like a rag doll, and she was slapping my ass, and she lost grip, and I got thrown against the wall below the front window in the front lounge, and I went into unconsciousness. I got knocked out. Next minute I know I'm being dragged up the stairs and I'm not barely able to touch the ground because I'm sort of coming in and out of consciousness. But this lady used to bully me and torment me so much that I answered back to her, and I wish I hadn't. But this lady was so out of control, she shouldn't have been working at this children's home. So what I'm going to say next is this. After that, I wasn't food. I wasn't given any tea. I'm not even sure if I actually missed as well. I might have missed lunch as well. But this has happened on a couple of other times before in the past where I missed a meal. Now, this is the other thing which happened at the Anna Wilson home. The food was just not there. The food didn't exist. I'm not sure if Salvation Army is a charity, but it's also run like a business. And, you know, they don't want to be piling loads of money into blasted like food for the kids. So there was hardly ever any food for the kids. We would be lucky if we had like more than half full bowl of porridge in the morning. More than half full, we would be lucky. We'd also be lucky if we had more than 3 slices of bread for tea in the afternoon, after school. The only meals we really had which were fulfilling were the meals we had at school, because we didn't really have much at home. We would be very, very lucky if we had baked beans on toast. We were very lucky if we had baked spaghetti on toast. Most of the time it was breads and spreads, and that was it. So there was hardly ever any food around either. And it was even worse during the holidays when we didn't have any food because we weren't at school. Now, there was one other time which I can remember, and I know I'm going on to a long one in this one, but you know what? You know, have time for me. This was one of the worst ones. Now, I'm not being emotional about this at all, purely because I've talked about it so much and I've cried about it so much that I've got it out of my system. There was one time when I ran upstairs with other kids. We went up to one of the rooms, and one of the girls was standing on a chair, and to this day I blanked out. I cannot remember the rest of what happened, but I don't know if the girl was on top of the chair, either attempting to commit suicide, threatening to commit suicide, or if she ever did commit suicide. To this day, that haunts me, and I still have memories about it to this day. And I am now at the stage where I went to Kent Police, and I did actually say to them, have you had ever any allegations of child abuse at the Anna Wilson home? They still didn't give me an answer. They haven't still given me an answer. So you know what I've done? The most recent request I've put forward is still to go forward to the ICO, which I put forward yesterday. So it means it's going to be 14 days before they get back to me. And if they get back to me within 14 days, then it's another 30 days for me to get a response from the ICO. And they don't normally respond within 30 days. Sometimes it can be 60 days because they say they're like overrun by people putting in complaints about, public organisations or charities, which they basically are putting complaints against. Since the GDPR came in, suddenly everyone's on the bandwagon getting information about themselves or other situations or organisations purely because the GDPR came in. And I think it's accelerated people realising that there is actually a governing body out there who can basically look at the information for you under freedom of information request or personal access request. So I'm now going to be waiting to get back from the ICO, and I'll probably end up like 2 weeks time if I haven't heard from them. Then hopefully I'll hear from them within 2 weeks, because they do say it's a 2-week closure. Then after that, it's a month before the information goes through, which they deal with the information within 30 days. And then if there's nothing heard from them, then I'll have to get in contact with my local MP and basically push for their information to be pushed forward to find out if there were any form of child abuse allegations which were put forward. Because you know what? If there was any crime reference number and there was ever any reports of child abuse at the Anna Wilson home, I had then got a possible forward proceedings of getting justice. Because if I've got a crime reference number from any abuse which happened at the Anna Wilson home between 1976 and 1981, but more likely 1980, because there was another major who took over the place and all the abuse stopped as soon as Major Brenda Fleming stopped working there. So I'm now at the stage now where I'm just going to wait for the ICO now to get back to me. And, it could be, looking at it, it could be minimum 6 weeks, possibly even 10 weeks. But let's see what happens. Because at the end of the day, it's 4 weeks for the ICO, 2 weeks for them to be in contact with me by 6 weeks. And usually it takes them at least another month before they get hold of me. So that's going to be 10 weeks from now. So anyway, I'm going to run off the end of this video now. But as I say, some of you will probably think, you know what, that's not that bad. But at the end of the day, do you know what? It's bad for me, because I feel like that the abuse was happening under a system run by the Salvation Army. And the abuser, being Major Brenda Fleming, was basically getting away with beating kids, slapping, giving the belt to kids, whether the belt end, whether the buckle end, giving the slipper, the hand, was a psychological abuse. It's just basically, it should never have happened in the first place. So I'm going to get to the end of this video. This is pretty much the finale video now. It basically went through the abuse which happened to me as a kid. And remember, I was 3-4 years old when I first moved there, when the abuse was happening and started happening, and went right the way through until Major Brenda Fleming stopped working there. Now, I did leave the Anna Wilson home for a period of time, and I went to foster parents. But when I came back from the foster parents and that didn't work out, I went back to the home, and I cannot remember if that was around the time when the new major was taken over. But when she was there was no abuse. the new mate who took over that place was basically the lady who was meant to be closing down the home down for the kids who were living there, basically to get them through to foster parents. She was an angel. She was just a lovely lady. And I can't name her name because I don't know if she's still alive or not, and I'm not allowed to use people's names. But at the end of the day, I just want to get justice. I want to share the truth. I want to find out more of the truth. I still want to get in contact with the kids who lived at the animals in the home, because I think we'll be able to help each other in many ways. But anyway, I'm out of here. This is the end of video 9, and I've got a feeling it's going to be, quite a while before I make another video now. So I'm out of here. Please like, please share, and thank you for your patience on this video, because this video has gone on for a bit longer. Anyway, take care. Have a good day, everyone. Bye. I'm out of here.